So selling your home is one of, if not the largest financial decisions that most people make, which means that if you make a mistake, it can also be one of the most costly. So how do you avoid making mistakes? That's exactly what we're going to talk about on today's episode, where I go over the top 5 mistakes that sellers make when selling their house and how you can avoid them. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so let's go over these in no particular order. So number 1 is not having a marketing plan in place and not giving yourself and your agent enough time to actually execute on that plan. So what do I mean by this? Let's go over a few examples. So at least once a year, I get a call from a seller that says they need to sell their home. We start talking back and forth, and then they drop the bombshell on me that they need their house on the market in the next week because they found a house that they like, they want to move into. However, they have to sell this house first before they can make an offer on that property. Now, can an agent get a house on the market in less than a week? Absolutely. However, is that going to maximize your profit as well as minimize your stress? Absolutely not. Now there's a lot of reasons for this, so let me go ahead and give you 2 different examples so you can see what happens if you have to put your house on the market and you don't have a plan in place and you're trying to condense everything versus what happens when you have the proper amount of time and the proper marketing plan in place. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the condensed timeline first. So let's say you call your agent maybe 10 days before you want to place your house on the market. So they come over the next day, you go back and forth with the agent, you're talking about some of the things that you could be doing to the house to make sure you're maximizing the profit when you list it. You have a list of things you could be doing, and you and the agent agree that you're going to have the media team in 5 days head to your house to take photos and videos of the property. So the agent leaves the house and you get started on the things that you need to do around the home to be able to get it ready. Now, if you've ever decluttered your house or ever cleaned out a house or even a room, you probably know that it ends up always taking more time than you think it's going to. Typically, you'll walk into a room and say, I could do this in an hour, and then half a day later, you're trying to figure out where all this crap came from. You're still not done with even one room in the house, and you're starting to realize this is a much larger project than you originally thought. And on top of that, there's a bunch of other things that you need to be doing as well, and you only have 5 days to do it. So at this point, you start to figure out, okay, I'm not going to be able to get this done. I'm going to have to pick and choose which ones of these items that I'm going to do to be able to get my house ready for photos that are going to happen in 5 days from now. So you go ahead, you get that done. The photographer, the videographer show up, they take their footage. About 2 days later, the agent gets it back. They take that, they go print all the media, get everything ready for the marketing side of things. And by that time, you're already on day 8. And basically your house has to hit the market in order for it to be ready for an open house that following weekend. So the open houses happen that weekend. Buyers walk up to the open house. They see some shrubs that really haven't been trimmed yet because you didn't have a chance to get to it. You see some dirt patches around those shrubs. You have a flower bed that you and your kids planted the year before, and they swore they were going to take care of it and water it every day, but somehow it ended up being just sticks. They walk by that, and already in the buyer's mind, they're saying no to this property. They're thinking the seller doesn't take care of it, it doesn't look very good from the outside, and they've already made their mind up that they don't want to place an offer on the property. Now that might sound crazy, but oftentimes buyers are making their mind up before they even walk inside the house if they want to place an offer or not. Okay, so after the weekend's open houses, on Tuesday or Wednesday, you get 1 or 2 offers on the house, which you're excited about. One of them's at asking price, doesn't have the best terms, but you decide to accept it, and now you're in escrow with the buyer at asking price for your home. Okay, so that first scenario might not sound all bad. You got your asking price. However, let's go ahead and look at what happens if you give yourself a little bit more time and actually have a more solid marketing plan in place going into actually listing your home. So now, let's say you're meeting with the agent a month and a half before you want your house on the market. You have that same conversation. You go through some things that you could be doing to your house to be able to make sure you're maximizing the profit, except this time you actually have enough time to get everything done. So you have multiple weekends to declutter your house. You have enough time to hire some help, maybe to help with a couple other things that need to get done around the place. So you're not stressing out, everything's getting done, and your house is going to look much better when eventually the photographers come to take pictures of it about 2 weeks before you want to place it on the market. So the photographers, the videographers come, they take photos, they take videos, get it back to the agent. The agent is now able to take all of that, and a week and a half before your home hits the market, they can start advertising it. So in California, you're able to put homes on the market as coming soon status, which basically allows people to see that yes, this house is hitting the market. They can get photos of it, they can get videos of it, market, which is going to give you an advantage because let's say there's an active buyer in the market, they're going through open houses, they're looking at homes, and maybe they find a home they really like and they want to place an offer on. However, now they see this coming soon house instead. They say, I like that house a little bit better. I'm not going to place an offer on this. I'm going to wait for that one. If you don't give yourself enough time to have that coming soon status and really start building the hype for your house before it even hits the market, you're losing out on all those potential buyers that might be going into escrow on other homes because they don't know your home is coming to the market anytime soon. So again, these are some small things, but they start adding up if you have the right marketing plan in place. So you have that coming soon status. Your agent is able to then put some mailers out to the neighborhood because there's enough time to go through the mail and get them delivered at this point. They can hand deliver to the neighborhood all of the information about the open house, see if the neighbors have any family or friends that want to move into the area. They're able to do a lot more marketing before your house even hits the market. And then their marketing plan is fully developed and in place, ready to go as soon as your house launches. So not only are you getting a lot more eyeballs on your house before it even hits the market, but once your house does hit the market, let's say during that first week of open houses, you're having double the amount of people come through the home. And all of a sudden, everybody walking through sees that there's so many people here. They need to get their offers in immediately, quickly, and at a high price because they know it's going to be competitive. So now you're getting offers on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now you might have 5 or 6 offers to choose from, much better terms and a much better position to negotiate. And ultimately, you're now getting $50,000, $60,000 above asking price for your home because you have more offers to look at. You were able to get everything done that you needed to, and that ultimately is going to net you more money. So the biggest takeaway here is make sure if you're planning on selling your home, you try to contact your agent at minimum a month before you want it on the market. That way you're able to get everything done you need to give yourself the best shot of maximizing the sale price. Okay, so mistake number 2 is hiring an order taking agent versus a professional. So what do I mean by this? Well, in 2024, the biggest problem we have in the Orange County housing market is still inventory. Inventory is way down, which means that there's a lot of agents out there that are almost doing anything at this point to try to be able to get a listing and lock you in to work with them. So let's go ahead and kind of look at some things that you could be doing to make sure that you're working with a professional versus an order taker. So let's say, for example, that you're trying to sell your house. You have 4 agents come by and interview them to figure out if you want to hire them to sell your home. The first 3 come by, they go over the comparable sales for the neighborhood over the last 6 months, and then they go through the process on how they adjust those based on the condition, different amenities they have. That way you're comparing as close to apples as possible, and they're basically saying, based on all this information I'm giving you, this is the price that I recommend you market your home at. And let's say, for instance, they all are recommending a price around $1.2 million. Now, the 4th agent comes by and you happen to mention, oh, Zillow said my house is worth $1.5 million. Would you be able to sell my house for $1.5? And without blinking an eye, they say, absolutely, the market's hot. We'll go ahead and sell it for $1.5. And then they don't give you any data to back it up. That should be a red flag for you because right now, like I said, agents out there, some of them are doing almost anything to try to lock you into a contract right now. So you need to make sure that you're hiring an agent that's going to give you the honest truth of what's happening in the market and the best strategy to make sure you're maximizing the profit when you go and sell your home. So when you're interviewing agents, it might not be a bad idea to throw out some of these scenarios and say, well, I really want to sell my house for this much higher and see what they say about it. If it's an honest agent, they're going to go back to the data saying, based on the market right now, this is what buyers are paying for your home in your neighborhood with your amenities. I understand you like this price. However, if you want to be able to maximize the amount of buyers coming into your house and ultimately getting the best price, this is the marketing price I would probably advertise it for. Now, again, if you go through and they don't give you any objections or don't provide any data to back up why they think they can sell your house for that price, then you probably know it's a red flag and you probably shouldn't hire them. So when you're talking to agents, make sure you find one that is willing to be honest with you and give you the data and recommendations based off that. Now, I'm not saying that those agents won't agree to list your house at $1.5 million. However, the right way to do it is basically letting you know up front, this is the market, what I see right now. This is exactly what I expect the house to go for right now. I understand you want to list it at 1.5 if that's what you want to do. And as long as you understand the situation, we can do that. However, they might say after 2 weeks, if we get no offers, no interest, then we need to pre-negotiate the price that we're going to drop it to. So that way we don't lose as much interest on it and you still have a better chance of selling your home. So really, you're just trying to find someone that's going to tell you the truth, give you your options, and ultimately let you decide what path you want to take. And this is going to lead me to the third mistake that sellers can make. And I know I said that there's no order to these. However, this is probably the most common as well as the most costly mistake that sellers can make right now, and that is overpricing their home. So let's take that same scenario as before and say that you price your home at $1.5 million where the comparable sales say it's worth $1.2 million. The problem with this strategy, you might be thinking, I can always reduce it later. I'm leaving open for negotiation, so if a buyer comes in and maybe offers me a little bit less, I'm still getting a great price for the home. Those strategies typically do not work even in today's market when it's a hot seller's market. Because what typically happens is buyers are more savvy right now. They can see all the comparable sales in the neighborhood. They have Zillow and Redfin to show them what homes have sold for in that area. So if they see your house is way overpriced, they're not even gonna bother looking at it, and your house is just gonna be sitting on the market. Maybe you get one offer after a week of a lowball offer of $1.3 million, but at that point you're saying it's listed at 1.5. I'm not gonna take a $200,000 price drop within the first week just to sell my home right now. So you reject that offer, and then another 2-3 weeks go by, another 4 or 5 weeks go by, you don't get any offers, people stop touring the home, and eventually you have to drop your house to a little bit lower price, and that's when all the vultures come out. So that's when the buyers see that you dropped your price. Now they think you're desperate and they start offering you lowball offers, and eventually you need to sell the house, so you end up selling it for $1.2 million. Now let's look at the other scenario. If you started at the original price of $1.2 million, buyers are definitely going to be interested in the home because they know it's properly priced. You have a lot of people coming through your open houses, and you have multiple offers within the first week or two of having your house on the market, which eliminates all those different showings you have to arrange, all the different open houses that you would have had it done, keeping it up for months and months at a time. And now everything is condensed into 2 weeks instead. And on top of that, you get multiple offers, the buyers start competing with each other, and now you get a price of $1.3 million because there's so much traffic and demand for your house, ultimately netting you a higher price than if you priced it high to begin with and then had to lower it. I see this happen time and time again, month after month, and I've seen this happen myself going to listing appointments, not getting the listing, and then seeing them list it way over market value, and eventually drop the price, and then it ends up closing at a price much lower than what I told them they should list it at, and they end up getting a lot less money for their home. So please don't make that mistake. Make sure you're looking at the comparable sales. Understand that the marketing price that the agent wants to place your house on the market for is not necessarily the last price you're going to get for your home. It's a strategy involved. So you might want to place it a little bit low than market value, generating more buyer interest, generating more multiple offers, and ultimately getting you a much higher price. Over and over again has proven to get you the best price possible versus listing high and then having to drop the price because it was listed too high, ultimately netting you less money. So number 4 is accepting a high risk offer from a buyer. So I see this happen especially as the market heats up, where you get those buyers that come in and offer way over asking price and are basically blowing every other buyer out of the water with the price they're offering. This could be a trap. So oftentimes buyers will use this as a strategy to try to get into escrow with you and then eventually try to figure out a way to reduce the purchase price once they're in escrow. And this happens often, especially for properties that need loans on them from the buyer, because maybe they offer $100,000 over asking price. The problem is the bank is going to request an appraisal, so a third-party evaluation of the home, and they're going to come back saying this property is not worth anywhere near what the buyer is asking to pay for it, so we can't give them the loan for this property. So then either you have to drop out of escrow, start the whole process over again to find a new buyer, or most likely what the buyer is going to try to do then is say, hey, this property appraised for $100,000 less than I was offering. I don't have any money in my bank account to cover the difference, so can you please reduce this price $100,000 so we can keep this escrow going? And you might be tempted at that point because let's say you were trying to find a home of your own and now you're in escrow on a home of your own, so if you drop out of this escrow, you're going to lose that house. You might be saying, okay, I didn't want to drop the price, however, I also don't want to lose this house, so I'm going to accept the buyer's terms, lower my price, and then the buyer ends up getting the house for a much better deal, and they basically bait and switched you in in order to get that deal. So just make sure that you're not just going through the top line of what they're offering for their home, but everything else in the offer as well. If they're offering way over escrow, do they have a lot of bank reserves in the bank to be able to pay for any difference between the appraisal or the asking price? If not, it's probably an offer you shouldn't really consider taking unless you can negotiate in the offer saying that the buyer is going to pay whatever the difference is between what they offered and what the appraisal came back at. So the fifth and final mistake is hiring an agent that doesn't have a clear marketing plan that they can explain. So what do I mean by this? Well, if you're interviewing an agent and they say, I have a social media strategy, we're going to put it all over social media and make sure you find a buyer for your home. And you ask, okay, well, how are you going to do that? And they give you a deer in the headlight stare and say, well, I'm going to put it on my Facebook page and my Instagram page, and then all my friends can share it from there. That is not a strategy. So you want to make sure that they're actually going through and explaining step by step, giving examples of how they go through, create ads, and actually target the people that are most interested and able to purchase your home. So they should be able to go through and say, here are the categories we're using, look exactly how it's done, and this is how much we're spending. These are the type of results we can expect to get. And if you're not getting that clear understanding and a step-by-step process on all their marketing, you're probably hiring the wrong agent that doesn't have a good plan in place to make sure you're maximizing the amount of qualified buyers that are looking at your home, giving you the best shot of getting multiple offers and a high price for your house. So those are the top 5 mistakes that sellers could be making as they're getting their home ready to place on the market, as well as looking at offers to accept. However, there are a lot of other mistakes that sellers can obviously make once they're inside of escrow, which I'll probably do a video for at another time. Now, if you are a seller and you have some questions of your own you want to get answered, feel free to book a free discovery call with me anytime. You can find the link in the description below. Find a time that's convenient for you and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And if you're a seller who's also purchasing a home, make sure you don't forget to watch this video right here, because it will give you the 5 things that you need to know to place a competitive offer in today's hot sellers market. So until next week, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you on the next show. Bye, everybody.